Through all my years as an active hunter, I have always enjoyed the challenges of different forms of country sports. In fact, I have actually always found it a quality in itself to try something new, something that I have not done before. In my younger days, life was all a matter of spending as much time as possible on shooting pursuits, regardless of where, when, or how. That changed completely when I was privileged enough to experience grouse shooting on the moors of northern England. Here, I discovered a sport that offers everything that I like about driven birds and shooting sport. Records show that organised driven grouse shooting began back in 1853, more than 160 years ago. In the beginning, it was entirely a sport for the aristocracy, wealthy people with access to endless stretches of moorland and sufficient means to finance the costly sport, which driven grouse shooting was then and still is today. In modern times, driven grouse shooting has become a sport accessible to a much greater variety of clientele, not least a steadily increasing number of country sports tourists from all corners of the world who visit Great Britain every year to partake in the celebration of driven grouse shooting, a spectacular country sport born on traditions and with its own ceremonial etiquette. The driven grouse season in the UK opens on the 12th of August every year, the day affectionately known by the shooting fraternity as the Glorious 12th, a day that has always been regarded as the most important of all in a gentleman's shooting calendar. And so it is to me. It is truly a unique privilege to be part of an event that takes place in spectacular natural scenery that has remained almost unchanged since the first driven grouse shoots were staged here 160 years ago. Even the way that driven shoots are organised remains the same. The guns are placed in so-called butts, stone walls dug down to ground level, on a straight line. Just like on other driven shoots, the birds are being pushed towards the line of guns by a team of beaters. But with grouse, many things are different. The grouse that we are shooting are wild birds hatched in the heather-covered moorland that extends beyond the horizon. Organising a driven day on grouse is a difficult task, a complicated logistical challenge. Each drive comprises huge areas of land, which the team of 30 to 40 beaters must comb through in order to push the birds over the guns. Behind the guns, an even larger team of pickers-up are positioned ready to pick up the downed birds. And then there are the birds. Red grouse are capable of reaching speeds of 130 kilometers an hour or more on their low flight over the moor. The birds have a tendency to veer off at the very last moment to present serious challenges to even the most experienced gun. Experience and practice are not only a good idea, they are prerequisites of success. But perhaps the most important thing that makes a driven day on grouse something special is knowing just how much dedication and uncompromising efforts it takes to make the day a successful one. That is just one of the things I have learned about country sports and about myself. If I am able to fully appreciate the workload of preparations that precede a successful day of shooting, the event will be an even better experience. We live in a time and age where much of the world's wild nature is subject to tremendous pressure from all sides. The reality is perhaps that whatever small areas of unspoiled nature are left still in this world, we must strive to understand and truly appreciate the inherent value that nature presents to us in order for it to survive. Such inherent value is invested in the countless hours that managing a grouse moor requires, in order to provide optimum conditions for the birds to hatch and bring the brood successfully through the breeding season. It may sound contradictory that shooting can contribute to the survival of a species, but creating and maintaining ideal living conditions for the grouse is a prerequisite for the grouse populations to consistently produce a surplus of healthy birds big enough to sustain a controlled shooting. It enables us to take home the memories of some fantastic experiences on the moors while easing the pressure on nature by only harvesting of the surplus. It makes me glad to take part in an event where I can experience unspoiled nature, where conscientious sportsmen and women indulge in a sport that has remained largely unchanged for more than 160 years. We are fortunate to be able to harvest the surplus of nature, and if we are wise enough to only harvest the surplus, chances are that there are many more shooting days left for us to enjoy, many more than I will be fortunate enough to live to experience. That is what I mean when I say that the most important thing for me when I go hunting or take part in a driven shoot is not where, when, or how many, but much more importantly, how thorough the management ideals are met with. That is why I keep coming back.